Thank you for staying with us on The Big Story. This evening we're talking about match fixing and that investigation by FIFA that just outlined some of the activities that have been going on with respect to football players, specifically a Harambee Stars player who is said to have received millions in match fixing. I got the chance to speak to Ambassador Peter Kaberia, who's the PS in the Ministry of Sports. Let's listen in a little bit to what he had to say about these allegations from FIFA. This is in relation to the allegations that have been raised by FIFA on match fixing in the country. As a representative from the Ministry of Sports, have you received an official communication from FIFA on the same?
Not yet. We are expecting this report any time from now. We've just had discussions or talks with FKF, and we are continuing an investigation to ensure that we get to the bottom of this. So we are trying to make sure that the FKF officials and those that were involved give us the full detail.
Okay. Are you bothered as the Ministry of Sports with these allegations that are now coming up?
Of course it does bother us. You see, we are working on establishing Kenya as a great sporting country. We are also looking at this country as a symbol of where you play clean, where you run clean. We have that image as a sports dominant nation. So it bothers us when issues like this come up because they are what brings us down. Our credibility is affected. If it's that, yes, we are bothered. And that's why I'm saying we want to get to the bottom of it so that we understand and we make sure that this does not occur within our country.
Let me pick your mind just a little bit on how exactly we got here. I read bits of that particular report and some of the money that was being offered specifically to this player and some of his colleagues as well, some amount going to 3 million, others were 6 million. How did we get here, Bonapiers, from where we sit?
I think this, first and foremost, it's important to understand that the matches we are talking about are matches that happened almost 10 years ago. This is not something that is just fresh off the pitch. However, it happened. The investigations have been ongoing, and the report is out now. That does not remove the responsibility. For us to have had that kind of thing, it gives you it tells you the story of where we've come from. We have had a situation in the past where things were not running the way they should. We've been fighting to establish both legal and even operational regulations and ways of engagement to ensure that these kinds of things don't happen. If you see what we've done in the last 2 years in the ministry, we are establishing even registration criteria. We now have a registrar of sports who we didn't have then. For someone to be a coach, for someone to be a referee, for someone to be a player, all these people are now going through screening and registration, and continuous vetting is happening so that we ensure that we are credible and we can stand the test of time. We are able to say as a sporting nation, we are clean, we are good. Now, is this a new problem? No, it is not. It is a problem that is found in northern Kenya. It is found in other parts of the world. And we, as a ministry, are doing everything we can to ensure that this is met with the right counter to avoid a repeat or even a tolerance of such a character.
Yeah, it would be important. I mean, when you look at Kenya's image out there, it doesn't really look good. So apart from the office that you say you have set up, what else is your ministry doing to make sure that the welfare of players are catered for and that we do not get such instances or incidences in the future?
We are setting up rules. We are setting up legislation. We are actually limiting the people who can come into the country and participate in events in sports or even the process of identification, development, and promotion of either sports federations or even the individual sports persons. So that will be the first base. The next is development of infrastructure that caters for the real athletes, the real sports persons, so that we know if somebody is going to stand in and play for our country, these are people who can be identified and accounted for clearly as to where they were, who they were with, to avoid these kinds of accusations. Now, we have people who go ahead and I was not a part of it, I didn't do it. If we have the system like the one we are putting in place now, we are able to account for our sports persons almost throughout. We are able to say, no, really, this didn't happen because they would not have met. Or we are actually able to confirm and say, yes, it is true. Player Kirini met with the player Ogutu or with Coach Ogutu, and we don't know what they did. Hiyo shida inaweza kuwa ilitokea hapo. So it's not about just denying or saying no. It's also being able to collaborate when wrong is done and taking responsibility and standing there and pointing at the wrong and saying, we shall not allow this, we will not accept it.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to us on The Big Story this evening.
Thank you, Linda.
Right, so that was the sports PS, Ambassador Peter Kaberia, speaking to us on the allegations that are being raised by FIFA. Boniface Ambani, thank you for staying with me. So let me pick your mind on the solutions. What possible solutions do you see to ensure that we do not have cases of match fixing? I know there's a concern by some players, and I've heard them saying that at times when they are in some of the hotels, they have strangers basically having access to them. Is this one of the avenues? This is actually one of the avenues that they say match fixers use to access them. Give me possible solutions from where you sit.
I think what I should say, possible solutions just lie to the player. You as a player, you just have to think what brought you there. You just have to know that this is a talent that you are given. It's a talent that nobody else gave it to you. It's only God gave the talent to you. So you're not supposed to misuse it. So even if you say that we do not want to see anybody in camp, it can't happen. Because look at it this way. The investigation says that I used to communicate with these guys through mail, So look at it that way. It's through mails. Now, you can access mails through anywhere. Right now, we have phones that you can do communication with easily when you're in camp. So, to me, I think the only solution is let's educate our players, and then second, also let's try to improve the wages of the Kenyan players. Let's try to improve the living standards of our Kenyan players, and then from there, I'm sure that at least before somebody thinks of doing such a thing, definitely, I don't think it will come to be worse as it is at the moment. And then second, to me, the clubs themselves, I think they should try to put some stopgap measures that at least they'll try to reduce whatever is happening, because it's going to be rampant. I've seen some players, as I said, I've seen some players bet, which is very wrong. I've tried to stop them. I've tried to tell them, gosh, this thing is wrong, because I think the first experience that I experienced match fixing, but I just suspected it, but I didn't go into much into it. I think when I was playing football in India, where all of a sudden a squad was just changed, and then we lost that match, and after losing that match, nobody cared. Everybody I could see guys are happy. Then I wondered, why? Why are you guys happy?
Yeah, why are you guys happy and we've just lost a match?
Yeah, I just wondered, why are you guys happy and we've just lost a match? You go home, you're thinking too much about it, because you definitely don't know what was happening. Then later on, you start to inquire from 1 or 2, 3 players, and then start asking them, hey, excuse, why you guys were happy yesterday and you lost a match? Then you start hearing some funny stories, the match was fixed, so the bet went through. So it's quite devastating sometimes, because you as a player, you prepare yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, everything you have done for that match, and then all of a sudden, you just come to lose a match just because somebody else fixed the match, and a certain player got paid handsomely. It's killing. It's killing our football, and we just hope that something will come up that can actually stop this. Because if you don't do it, it's going to explode. I don't like seeing Kenya, my beloved country, being on top of the map for match fixing. It's very wrong.
Reasons,
It's very, very wrong.
Okay, so in as much as match fixing is wrong, let me just read some feedback on social media as well. This was the minute this story came out. So Hezbon Ochieng says, Harambee Stars finally got tired of promises of Harambes and donations not being fulfilled. Let my brothers eat however way they can. People who have never trained for a sport daily don't know the effort it takes. And for a player to make the national team and have little to show. So basically just trying to justify how we got here and why you can have a player doing that as well. So as we have this conversation and I bring it to a conclusion, we will be running some of the social media feedback on this particular story. Mr. Nyamoya, let's look at the solutions now. You were the former Football Kenya Federation president, and you have lots of experience on this as well. So let's look at the solution. And I know that you've called on all stakeholders to pull in one direction. Which stakeholders are you referring to? What essentially can they do in a case like this?
I think, Linda, it's good everybody's concerned about this match fixing. The stakeholders are FKF, for instance, the clubs, the referees, the government, the media. And I think, in my view, all these stakeholders should come together, maybe organized by government, Minister of Sports, so that they can sit down and see how they can handle this menace. It's dangerous. I don't want to dwell much more on Owino because really investigations are on. Maybe he's innocent and it has been leaked. As far as I'm concerned, after being a long-serving football administrator, investigations of FIFA are not supposed to leak the media. So how they leak the media, I do not know. I don't want to blame the young man because he has not been given time to defend himself. But the situation on the ground is that it is true, there is match fixing. Those stakeholders should come. The leading organ in these stakeholders should be FKF and the Ministry of Sports.
But I read your article and you said you think FKF lacks the capacity and the mandate to deal with this.
Well, Linda, that's true. To investigate match fixing is a very complicated exercise. So what FKF should do, they should ask FIFA. FIFA has got the experience, and they have got experienced people. They have people who can investigate. So if you sit down and don't involve FIFA and CAF, then there is very little you can do. So they are sleeping on the job because when they hear about match fixing, they don't just keep quiet like they are keeping quiet. You see, something's happening in Kakamega, you keep quiet. Referees are being bribed, you keep quiet. You have to take action. Action is important. So lacking the capacity, Linda, my sister, is they have to ask FIFA and the CAF to come and assist them, which they have not done.
Okay, so just to clear the air, Boniface Mbani, and it's okay, you don't have to give me the exact figures, but I'd like to know, on average, how much does a Kenyan footballer make per month?
During my days, it was quite low. But at the moment, I think some players in top clubs, that's what I should say, in top clubs like Gor Mahia, FC Leopards, I see most of the players earn between 70,000 to 250,000, depending to how you sign the contract. But again, to the smaller teams, it's quite wanting, because I see most of the players earning even below 20,000 shillings, which is very wrong. Huh? I think at the moment, what we have to do, we just have to get a standard figure. The KPL, the FKF, they just have to come, sit down and say, okay, fine, these clubs, from the minimum wage, you just have to get a minimum wage for each and every player who plays in the Kenyan Premier League. Then I think we'll have at least tried to sort some of these problems, because it's at this moment and this hour, paying a player 20,000 shillings, to me, I think it's quite not good. I think they should at least do something about it. That will help also improve our football standards, and also try to stop some of these things that I shall see on social media and also on players betting. Because most of the players that I see betting, you'll see they say whatever they want to get, whatever they want to earn. It's just mere 1,000, 2,000 shillings, which is very wrong. So I think if we give those players better salaries, everything everything turns to be quite okay on their side, then definitely we will have at least stopped some of these things that we are seeing around. I don't think the next 10 years, if we try to improve on our wages or the Kenyan player wages, then I will not have these cases. But if it continues the way it is right now, and I'm sure what I'm telling you, there are players, the Kenya Premier, who earn even 20,000. Yeah? It's very wrong.
Yeah, so you have someone earning 20,000 per month.
Yeah.
And this is someone who gets a match fixer who offers 3 million in a month.
Yeah, you try to get some of the things. So it's just about integrity. So it depends. If you get weaker players, and definitely, sometimes, money is tempting. Yeah. So I look at it on the other side. This is a player who earns 20,000. This is a player who is given maybe 30,000. This is a player who sometimes even the allowances are not forthcoming after the match. So somebody comes up and says, "Oh, my friend, I'm going to offer you 3, 4, 5 million." What happens? We have a weak player. He'll go for that. He'll go for that money. And then, as I said, also, it's not just about the players. Also, it's about also the coaches. And this thing is deep. It even translates to the referees. Yeah. Because also referees in this country are not being paid.
I remember that expose that was done by BBC that touched on a referee, I think Marwa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, even referees themselves are not being paid. Yeah? It's on record. Most of the referees in Kenya, up to this moment, most of them they're still looking for their alliances here and there. So you try to imagine the referee who has to travel to Mombasa and then is not paid. The alliance is not paid, but he has to go and officiate a match in Mombasa. What can that kind of referee do? If at all somebody just comes and tells, "Hey, my friend, can you fix this match? I'll give you 100,000."
Okay. All right. Great. I need to wrap this show up. Mr. Nyamweya, so basically, how do you make it impossible for match manipulation syndicates to operate in Kenya? That's A. And then B, where does all this leave Kenya? I know these are allegations. I know these are an ongoing investigation. But looking at the BBC expose and looking at what happened to Homeboy's team, this is a problem that's here. What does this mean for Kenya's image in terms of football?
Linda, it's very disturbing. The buck stops at the federation. The federation must be very strict. They must employ what we call mechanism of finding out who is involved in match fixing, which is not difficult. Because, people, as Ambani was saying, those players, after the match, they talk. They must investigate. They must also cooperate with the Kenya Premier League and the other lower leagues. So that if they do that and action is taken, if 2, 3, 4, 5 players are banned, I can tell you it's likely to reduce it. Kenya now is on the global radar after what has happened. And I think something must be done. I'm appealing to our good government. I'm appealing to especially our Minister for Interior, the hard-working Honorable Matiang'i, and the police to come in and help the clubs and the federation to find out, because the government has got machinery. The intelligence of this country has got machinery. So if the government comes in and assists the federation and the clubs, we are likely to get somewhere, because otherwise the image of this country is going to be ruined completely. Our young players are going to suffer, and nobody is going to trust Kenyan clubs, even if you win the match. So the situation is action must be taken. The federation must come out and take action. The government must come out and take action.
Right.
And the club's officials, especially those ones who are involved, action should be taken against them.
Right.
And if that one is done, this thing is likely to come down. Otherwise, the image of this country Linda is at stake.
That's a good place to end this conversation. Thank you so much for speaking to us on The Big Story this evening. Mr. Sam Nyamweya, former Football Kenya Federation President. We had Boniface Ambani, who's a retired Kenyan footballer. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. And a big thank you as well to Ambassador Peter Kaberia, who's the PS in the Ministry of Sports, and Sarah Ochoada, who spoke to the lead reporter, Sophia Wanuna. I'm Linda Ogutu. Have a good evening.